සියලුම දෙනාට ප්‍රාර්ථනා කරනවා සුබම සුබ සන්ධ්‍යාවක් ආයුබෝවන්. ඉතින් හරියට වෙලාව පස්වරු 2:05 මිනිත්තු 11යි සූදානම් ආරම්භ කරන්නට Good News Radio සතියන්ත සජීවී විකාශනය.
Good afternoon, everyone. Hope you're having a lovely Saturday afternoon. So today is Saturday the 29th of March. The time here in Sinigama is 2:11 p.m. and you are listening to the Good News Radio. So we will be here from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. today, just as we are on every Saturday. So today we have a bit of a sunny weather here in Sinigama at the Foundation of Goodness's Center of Excellence. We can see a lot of children running here and there, and a busy Saturday at the foundation as usual. So to kickstart our next segment, we have Kushu, who is the founder of the Foundation of Goodness, here with us in the studio, along with our usual team of compeers who do the Good News Radio, which is growing by number, by the way, and it's a really good sign to see. So kudos to Vishmi for mobilizing this team and to really take the Good News Radio forward. So to start the next segment, I would like to warmly welcome Kushil to the studio, and Kushil, maybe you can do the honors of introducing our guests today.
And then also Vishmi and Sashikala, as always, is there to help out at the Good News Radio unit, and both do the Sinhala and the English, discussions and interactions. So actually I generally try to come here every week on a Saturday, but some days I miss, as you know, and we have a like a gap sometimes, not having this usual English session that we do. But today we got two very special people here, and also English little stars, the only two at the Foundation of Goodness now Center of Excellence, where this semester we have picked them up as the two English little stars. One is Natali and one is Chumana, and they are also here, and they will be also probably asking their own questions by way of their thought process, and it'd be good to have them on board, because we need to inculcate and educate these young generations, and they're only 12, both are 12, and they have a nice way of and I have told them to also encourage the peers to speak English. It's so important, as we have discussed this so many times. But coming back, the two special guests are, one is one of my very very long standing colleagues, friends, and we've done a lot of things together. He's also cricketer by background, and also finance, on the finance side, and he knows a lot about jewelry, about finance, about also wellness, and then as well as cricket, because he captained Nalanda when I was just starting to play cricket, but he played with Siddharth at the same time against each other. He captained Nalanda when Siddharth was playing for Ananda the first year. So he's Mr. Nanda Deva Perera. We call him Nanda affectionately. So, and then I must also introduce another, forthright, very, transparent, like very, very straightforward, a sports journalist I have seen for many years, countless years, may I say, from the young, from the younger days, when I was playing cricket, he was still actually covering sports. So his passion was cricket, so he was the editor for many publications, and he's also just taken a little break, and he's come to see the Foundation of Goodness. He's been here before. I think he wrote on a very like a productive and impactful, very effective article on the Foundation of Goodness for the Daily Mirror many moons ago, but still I remember what he did, and he's come after such a long time. He's been covering cricket, he's traveling the world, he's done all that, and his contribution to cricket is very impressive, because he's actually shown not only the good side but also the not so good side. So there's always a balance, and he's trying to be very honest and in his writing and submission. So you got a balanced kind of articles that he has written, and his English is also impeccable in terms of writing and speaking. So he would have a lot of things to say, but let's start. I'll ask Callistus first. Callistus, thank you for being here. I'm really very blessed to have you here, especially on a day where we were felicitating the Sri Sumangala College cricket team, who actually, probably in my opinion and what they have found out, in Sri Lanka, in school history, they actually won 16 consecutive outright victories. Though they are in the Division 3, because they started cricket pretty late, and that also because post-tsunami we were blessed to have a ground from MCC at Lords. You can't have a better kind of a partnership or association like MCC. So it's a tribute to MCC as well. Now in the Division 3, leading up to the championship, they won 16 outright victories, including the championship. Now they are promoted to Division 2. Right? So what I see is that they are very simple, humble, coming from humble backgrounds. They play the game very hard. They train hard under difficult circumstances. They are really desperate sometimes. The families are not very well to do, humbled. So, but the thing is, they had only one coach. Like the time that we played cricket, we had only one coach and one master in charge. There was no one else. And of course now, as it was pointed out today, there are 500 odd schools playing cricket as opposed to the time we played, which was just Nanda and I played 50 schools. But there's a lot of changes that have taken place in cricket, whether it's a T20 format, ODI format, then the tests and so many things. But Isumangala to have done something like this, having won 16 outright victories leading up to the championship and then winning it. And mind you, on the day of the final, obviously the other team that came from the other side was also good, right? Otherwise they won't reach the final. And it rained so heavily in the first day, and they started play only at 3 o'clock. And there was only 2 hours the first day. Still the second day, they won outright. So you can imagine what kind of level of application, the determination, the willpower to win. Everything has been blended so beautifully into a recipe, and that's so. That apart, we also felicitated 4 young boys under 11 who actually won the All Island National, Championship, the medley relay. Right? Actually, my school, Ananda, was second. And St. Joseph's, Royal, Nalanda, St. Peter's, I think they all participated. So it was good to see Sinigama Cricket Club from the Foundation of Goodness up there. And Ananda College, my school, second. So my village came first and my school came second. Well, that's okay. But it's not about... And then also some of the table tennis players. Again, they train with us. Lesania at 17, has got 8 A's at her O-levels, and also captain Sri Lanka women's team. So, and the fact that, even at under 16 level, of course they represent the schools that are renowned for those sports, but they come to our academy, they represent our academy, and either they are from Dharma Soka or Devananda, because those are the really good table tennis players, swimmers, but we have from about 20-30 schools that come and train with us. So I wanted you to see another side of bridging this urban-rural divide, and that's why I wanted you to come, because you have wealth of experience in covering sports, and your views were important to us in terms of suggestions, recommendations, what have you, so that we raise the bar and get to the next level. So it's enough about my discussion, but I just want to ask about your visit, about what you have seen now, and anything that you can contribute positively to make an impact for the listeners, so that they will be inspired and we can go from there.
Yeah, thanks Kushal for having me. Thanks Vishnu and Shashikala. Thanks Kushal for having me. Thanks Shashikala and Vishnu. I think Kushal, in your eagerness to ask me questions, you also came up with a lot of answers and left me with very little to say.
That's me normally.
But but if I were to say something, what I saw in these boys today, these boys from Sri Sumangala College, Hikkadwa, I saw that discipline that was written on their faces.
I forgot to introduce you. I think Callistus Devi.
Yeah.
I don't know that you mentioned the name. Did I mention the name? Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I saw that discipline written on their faces, because without discipline you can do nothing. Nothing works without discipline. Unfortunately, in this country where we live, not many people, pay attention to discipline. And when they realize there is a thing called discipline, it can be too late. You may not be able to adjust, because you have come that far, not paying thought to discipline. So that was something I saw written on the faces of these boys. And when they walked in, when they took their seats, when they went for that group photograph, when they went down, when they were having something to eat, that was served to them, I saw all that in them. And talking about sports journalism, today sport is not about who won the match. So journalism and sport is very much a big part of the mainstream in the country, in the whole world, in the international sphere. It's not about who won the match, it's about life. Today, in the past, I think when Kushal and Nanda played, you just played cricket, you did sport, you went home, and that was about it. You were not under pressure, you were not open to questioning, you didn't have to answer so many people. But today, sport is about life, especially cricket in this country where the people are so crazy over cricket. But that's the only pride I think we Sri Lankans have to showcase to the world. So that's said and done. The sport is no longer, what it was in the past. It's about life, and you got to prove yourself. It's about business, it's about family life, it's about living standards, it's about discipline, it's about education. Today, cricketers are selected as ambassadors to go right around the country, right around the world, taking the message of goodwill and all that. So it's not just about bat hit in ball or ball hit in bat. So that's the change that has taken place with regard to sports journalism and sport in the world today in Sri Lanka.
I think a good point that you made is about discipline. Without discipline, nothing really can be achieved to get to where you want to aspire to, reach. Because I remember when we were playing, of course, we didn't have this pressure. Now, because when we were playing, there were no computers, no mobile phones, right? And we didn't have smart TVs or any TV for that matter. So we just went out, played cricket, enjoyed, and came back home. But with the world ever-changing technology, advancing and all of that stuff, we've got to also adapt and adjust to the ever-changing world. But that said, then the factor of discipline comes to play a bigger role. At that time, there wasn't, that kind of pressure for us to, get to where we want to go in terms of, so many areas. Now there's a overload of information, right? But at that time, we had to be disciplined. That is one thing. But I'm trying to say is the focus on discipline now, if you want to reach those, standards, is even more superior and higher and challenging. Because there's so many things to do. If you take the smartphone, people are on the smartphone and you sleep less, you check the phone, so the parents also have to play a role here, taking the phone away from the kids and, make them sleep rather than go to bed with the phone and, all of that. So it's a very evolving situation, but at the same time, it's a hugely important feature for your life to succeed, because now discipline matters more than ever before, right? In everything you have to be disciplined. For example, if you're driving, this occurred to me. If you're driving, when we were driving, if you saw a car in 100 meters or 200 meters, that was something special. Sometimes I used to go with my father, or when I used to drive, from let's say Sinigama to Ambalangoda, there are days I have counted only 2 vehicles have passed in 10 kilometers. So now, bumper to bumper, so you got your patience, you have to have your patience, you have to have driving skills, you've got to have so much of discipline to like what Kelly was saying about life skills. So you've got to have life skills. So, yeah, that's a very good point, because I also believe in discipline like no one else. So, I want to thank you for highlighting that point, because this is Good News Radio. We need to talk about good news, and discipline is good news without doubt.
Yeah, and I really like that sentence. He said that sports is not about today. Sports is not about who won the match, because there is so much more to it. I think spoken like a remarkable journalist. So I would like to ask, journalism, I would say, especially in the rural areas, is not the most preferred choice of career, because a lot of people want to be either a doctor or get a government job. That's sort of the mindset here. So, but there can be people who are very creative, especially in the rural areas, but who aspire to have such careers, but they don't really know a lot about it, because there's nobody else around them who's doing it, and everyone else is doing sort of the conventional career. So if you can maybe perhaps shed some light, give some advice on how can one go into a profession like journalism?
Yeah, actually, today journalism is not what it was, when I began journalism in the late 80s. Today, so much has changed. In the past, it was a joy and a pleasure to work as a journalist, because we had editors who were editors, but they were also like brothers, like friends, like family members. They never looked at us as people whom they can manipulate, or as people who does not know anything about journalism, unlike today. But in the past, we had some very good editors. They led from the front, and they gave us the right advice. They had nothing to lose, nothing to gain. And I was fortunate to work under, I would say, 6 or 7 editors. Classy editors, very scholarly. They knew what they were doing. They knew they are editors, and they had to live up to expectations in public life. Because when you put out a paper, if the readers don't like it, that's it. You're gone. You're wasting your time in the media. So the emphasis was on the quality of journalism, and they led from the front. And leading from the front is better than lecturing, because you see what is happening and you do the same thing. You follow it. So we had role models. Unfortunately, today's journalism, there are no role models, because journalism today has been highly politicized. It's highly politicized. Today, journalists work with a lot of fear. They are not certain about what they should be doing. Personally, I turned my back on publishers and editors on 3 occasions. The last time I did it was in February this year, because I couldn't stand it. We as journalists, we have to live up to public expectations. A journalist is someone who has to write the truth, speak the truth, tell the truth to the people, because that's the expectation that the people have in us. And unlike in the past, editors were also people who traveled by bus and train, so they were in touch with ground realities. But today, someone enters the print media or the media, whatever media, electronic media or print media, they think, in 1 month's time they can sit on the editor's chair. In another month's time they can be, driving their own vehicle, that they are somebody in society. They tend to enter the media to climb the social ladder. What they cannot be in normal life, they try to get it through the media, which, that is something that is outrageous. It's happening. But we who came from the old school, we treasure, everything that is sacred about the media. For example, in the print media, we have something called a byline. That is, you write the story and, you use your byline, your name. I was fortunate, I did not have a byline for 6 months. And I was not even interested in my name under my story, along with my story. Because I wanted to just work, get on with the job, know what the media is about. Do your job, your name comes second. Don't get ahead of the paper or the organization you work for. Right? So I earned my byline, which means I don't waste it, I don't undermine it, I don't devalue it. It's not for sale. If you sell your name or your byline, it's like selling your soul, right? So that is something I will always want to treasure in life, and that's the reason why I had to take these decisions. right? And I'm glad, I took the right decision on all 3 occasions, in fairness to journalism, the subject that I hold very sacred and dear to me, and in fairness to the readers whose expectations I have met. So most of them keep calling me and telling me that the Sunday Observer I worked for the last time has dropped in content and standards and all that. So I tell them, I'm sorry, I'm no longer responsible. I guess all of you know why I had to leave the Sunday Observer, because I could no longer have met reader expectations the way you expect it. I cannot be a stooge, a political stooge. I cannot bow down to publishers and editors to suit their whims and fancies. They have their vested interests. They have their reasons to hang around, take everything that comes their way. It is something I can't do. I cannot fool my own self. I cannot fool my name, my conscience, the readers above everybody else, because I'm in touch with them, I touch them, I see them, I know them, I hear them, speak to them. And when you go for matches, they recognize you. So, that recognition is enough for us. We don't need to get awards and boast about it, have our picture on the front page saying that so-and-so has won an award. That's not my kind of, journalism, right? Because we serve the people's interest. If there are awards that should come our way, it should come from the people, not from any editor or publisher, who may take a liking to you just because, he sees something that he fancies in you, which is not journalism, at all. So on principle, I turned down all these awards. Sri Lanka Cricket had also tried to give me an award, which I politely declined. I told them, the fact that you all have thought about me is enough. So I need not climb that stage and accept an award. Because we are here, we are monthly wage earners, by the way, right? We don't see ourselves as celebrities, right? We don't see ourselves. We work for the people. So if you can follow that kind of simple philosophy, I think you will succeed as a journalist. Of course, at the end of the day, your pockets are not full, but you will have a very rich conscience. You can always, look back and say, not guilty. You played your part.
Absolutely fascinating, actually. This sort of media journalism, especially him, having known him for so long, the principles that he stands for, and also the forthrightness, as I said, the integrity he does not compromise is absolutely rare gem, because today it's very easy to compromise on values or on different aspects, but he's stood for the truth, and there's no compromising with the truth, and being honest, being in the integrity itself is huge. And also talking about journalism today, one of the things that I feel Sri Lanka is lacking is good news. Right now, this is Good News Radio. But what I'm saying is, let's say, if you break a house, it's in the front page. If you build a house, it's not in front page. Right? So, you can see, if you take print media, 80%, if you scan, it's all like news that are not wholesome. Well, let's say unwholesome. So, but they say that that's what sells the paper. Right? But to me, if people are doing good, then if that is published, the paper may not sell as much as having, probably bad news. But in the long term, you create a generation that would be following, good deeds rather than, thinking these bad deeds and being influenced, So I think it's an investment that you take in the long term to have a good news. Actually, it'd be great we did this from the Foundation of Goodness. We did it with a sponsor, like a good news tabloid. And the environmental police told us we did it for only about a year or so, about 4 publications, every quarter or every 2 months. I can't remember, but everything was good news about, productive, impactful, effective, mannerisms, the courtesy, everything. So, the environment police told us that this is one tabloid that they didn't see on the ground, because the parents used to take and go and keep it in their house, hoping that the kids will basically, take to reading, those tabloids. So that way, I think, like what Callistus has very well explained, we need, people of character. It's not about, your possessions or your wealth or, your greatness is not measured just by position, status, privilege or wealth. Rather in service to humanity, the goodness, your gratitude, all of those come into play, the life skills, service. So I think it's very important when you now we have a comparing section. Now even Natalie and Jumana are in that, I think, comparing section. So we teach just like what, Callister says. I think we need to get Callister to speak to our comparing class, and make them, no matter what, very, very straightforward, uncompromising. If you can't exist in that kind of environment, you go. Doesn't matter.
Yes, especially even as a compere, because you are usually given a script to speak, right? But how do you really not speak on that script like a parrot, but how do you really stand to your values? I think that's what's most important. So I think it will be really great if he can speak to the comparing class as well.
I think I really need to get him to speak to the future generation, whether they follow your instructions or not is a different matter. At least you plant the seed. When you plant the seed, they will begin to realize when they get into trouble, maybe I should have realized the publication of the truth, because when you compromise the truth, you had it. So,
because comparing journalism, they all go into media someday, and for them to have successful careers in media, it's really important to have integrity and be brave, not be scared to report the truth. So in that sense, it would be remarkable for them to hear with you. So I would like to ask you, maybe if you can tell us 3 things, someone who's aspiring to go into media journalism, what 3 things should they cultivate when they're from school time? Is it how to improve their language, vocabulary, or is it a lot about creativity, or is it more about researching facts and figures? What 3 things should they cultivate from their teenage years if they aspire to have a career in journalism?
Yeah, creativity is very important. Research and getting to know about facts and figures is also important. It's about doing your homework, before you set about, doing something connected to the media and to journalism. For example, I am someone as a print media journalist. I felt it very important before I sit down to write a story. I had to take a look at the pictures before I write the story. Because I am not someone who writes a story and then goes after the photographer and asking for the picture. Because my story will be going one way and his picture will be going another way. It won't be compatible. But in my case, I got to see the pictures before I sit down to write the story. And my story will be based on those pictures. Especially today, where the print media, unlike in the past, has to compete with the electronic media, with the television, Facebook, social media, all these, platforms that, you all are very familiar with. And so it's about doing your homework, and creativity is very important, and you always must have this in mind. Self-confidence is very important. You got to look ahead all the time. You have to cultivate that self-importance, self-confidence and all that about you. And it's not hard. Yes, it's not hard. Let's not make it complicated. And as the years go by, you got to realize if you want to continue in the job, you got to have some convictions. Like you should not compromise. You should not have vested interests. You should not have a hidden agenda. You should not practice hypocrisy. If you can give thought to all those factors, you can succeed as a journalist. You can succeed. Yes. I, for one, on a personal note, actually, I know I am a single person. I did not have time even to get married. It's not a complaint. It's not a complaint. It's not a complaint. It's just that it's the course in life that I chose.
I think you're very wise.
So it's the course that I chose in life, and I have no complaints about it. And it's something that you cannot pay the fool with. Yeah. Marriage, journalism, everything that you said about put your hands to do. So yeah.
මට තියෙනවා මොකද මට මේ වැඩසටහන ශශිකලා ෂෙයා කරන්න ඕන අපේ ගෲප් එකට මම නිදහස් මාධ්‍යවේදිනියක් විදිහට කටයුතු කරගෙන යනවා මොකද මම channel එකකට නොයන්න හේතුව ඔබතුමා දැන් දීකට කලින් සඳහන් කරා දැනට අපි හදාගෙන යනවා තරුණ ජනමාධ්‍යවේදී ජාලයක්. ඒ ජාලයේ සෙක්‍රටරි ජෙනරල් විදිහට කටයුතු කරන්නේ මම. ඒතර අපිට තියෙන ලොකුම ප්‍රශ්නයක් තමයි අපි ලියන ආටිකල් එකක්. එහෙම නැත්නම් අපි කරන ප්‍රෝග්‍රෑම් එකක්. අපේ ප්‍රොඩියුසර් හෙඩ් හරි නැත්නම් ආටිකල් සම්බන්ධව ඉන්න හෙඩ් ගාවට හරි ගෙනිච්චට පස්සේ ගොඩක් වෙලාවට තරුණ කෙනෙක්ට ජනමාධ්‍ය ශාස්ත්‍රය ඉස්සරහට එන්න දෙන ප්‍රමාණය ගොඩක් අඩුයි. මොකද මම නිවුස් රීඩර් කෙනෙක් විදිහට මුලින්ම යන්නේ මම channel එකේ නම සඳහන් කරන්නේ ගිහිල්ලා ඒ නිවුස් ඩිපාර්ට්මන්ට් එකේ මට නිවුස් එක කියන්න දෙන්නේ මම කොච්චර කියන්න පුළුවන්කම තිබුණත් එයාලා කියන සීනියර් ඉන්නවා එයාට බැරි වුණ දවසක් එනකම් මම ඉන්න ඕන මම නිවුස් එක කියන්න. එහෙම නැතුව ස්කිල් එකටවත් තියෙන ටැලන්ට් එකටවත් මට දෙන්නේ නැහැ මේ නිවුස් සෙග්මන්ට් එක කරන්න. ඒතර මම බලාගෙන ඉන්න ඕන ආරයා ලෙඩ වෙනකන් ආරයා එක්කෝ වැටෙනකන් හරි අපි කැමති අර ඉතින් අර සීනියර්ට මොන හරි වෙනවනම් මම මේ කියන්නේ ඇත්ත. හේතුව තමයි අනිත් කෙනාට chance එක ගන්න දෙන්නෙම නැහැ. So the senior කොයි වෙලෙත් පේපර් එකක් එහාට මෙහාට ගෙනියන්න, පෑන ගෙන්න ගන්න, වතුර එක පුරව ගන්න. ඒවට තමයි මේ අලුතින් යන මාධ්‍යවේදීන්ව පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ ගොඩක් වෙලාවට. එතකොට අපිට අර ඒ ශාස්ත්‍රය ඇත්තටම එපා වෙනවා. මොකද අර ස්කිල් එක ටැලන්ට් එක දෙකම නැති වෙලා යනවා කාලයක් ඊගතුල ඉඳෙද්දි. ඒ නිසා තමයි අපි ගොඩක් වෙලාවට ඒ ශාස්ත්‍රයෙන් තරුණ අය දැන් අර කතා කරා වගේ ගොඩක් අය ශේෂෙන් ග්‍රාමීය ළමයි. ඒ ශාස්ත්‍රයට ගිහිලා අල්ලන් ඉන්න අමාරුයි. මාධ්‍යවේදීන්කම කොළඹට විතරක් සීමා වෙලාදෝ කියලා හිතන මොකද අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම කොළඹ පදිංචි වෙන්න ඕන අපි යනවනම්. අපිට උදේ හවස ගෙදර ඇවිත් එහෙම යන්නත් බෑ. ඒ වගේ ගොඩක් බැරියස්. ඒතර ඔබතුමා දකින්න විදියට තරුණ ජනමාධ්‍යවේදීන්ට කොහොමද මේක විවර කරද? මොකද එයාලා තමයි ෆියුචර් එකට මේ මාධ්‍ය අරගෙන යන අය. ඒකට කොහොමද ඔබතුමා දකින්න විදියට තරුණ ජනමාධ්‍යවේදීන් මේ බාධකත් නැඩගෙන ඉදිරියට යන ඔබතුමා මොනවාද යෝජනා කරන්නේ?
ඇත්තට අදිෂ්ඨානයක් තියෙන්න ඕනේ. මොන දේ කරොත් එඩිටර් වෙන්න ඕනේ. ජර්නලිස්ට් කෙනෙක් වෙනවා නම් මම දන්නවා මේ වගේ දේවල් සිද්ධ වෙනවා. මේකට කියන්නේ ෆේවරිට්ස් කියලා, එඩිටර්ස් ෆේවරිට්ස් කියලා තියෙන දෙයක්. මම නම් ඒක අනුමත කරන්නේ කොහොමදවත්. ඒ කියන්නේ සුදුසු පුද්ගලයාට සුදුසු තැන දෙන්න ඕනේ. මේ අපේ ලංකාවට වෙලා තියෙන්නේ ඒක තමයි මූලික හේතුව. අර කරන්න බැරි දේවල් කරන්න හැදුවොත් ඒක Tamanට විතරක් නෙමෙයි ඒක මුළු සමාජෙකම ලොකු ප්‍රශ්නයක්. ඉතින් ඒක මාධ්‍යරත් බෝ වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. ඉතින් මට දෙන්න පුළුවන් ඇඩ්වයිස් තමයි මේ අදිෂ්ඨාන වෙන්න ඕනේ. ඔක්කොම බැරියර්ස් ඒව ඔක්කොම ඕවර්කම් කරන්න ඕනේ. ටාගට් එක ජර්නලිසම් නම් ඉස්සරහට යන්න ඕන මේ ෆීල්ඩ් එකේ හිත හදා ගන්න ඕනේ. හිත හදා ගන්න ඕනේ කොම්ප්‍රොමයිස් කරන්නේ නැතුව. මේ ඔයා මට මේක දුන්නොත් මම මේක දෙනවා. ඒ වගේ නෙමෙයි. ඒක තියෙන්න ඕනේ තමන්ගේ මයින්ඩ් සෙට් එක තමන්ගේ හෘද සාක්ෂිය ජර්නලිසම් කරනවා නම් මේක ජර්නලිසම් කියන්නේ හරි උතුම් ප්‍රොෆෙෂන් එකක්. ඒක පාවලා දෙන්න බෑ කොහොමදත් පාවලා දෙන්න බෑ කොහොමදත් මිනිස්සුන්ට බොරු කරන්න බෑ. මිනිස්සු දන්න ඕනේ. දැන් කාලේ මිනිස්සු අපිට වඩා ඉස්සරහින් ඒගොල්ලෝ ඉන්නවා. අපිට වඩා අඩියක් ඉස්සරහින් ඉන්නවා ඒගොල්ලෝ. ඉතින් අපි ඒක හොඳට මතක තියාගන්න ඕනේ. නැත්තම් සමහර මාධ්‍යවලින් හිතනවා ඇති මේ අපි තමයි පොරවල් ඉනවා අපි තමයි මිනිස් ජනතාව දැනුවත් කරන අපි තමයි රට දියුණු මේ දැනුවත් කරන්නේ. නමුත් ඒක නෙමෙයි. එළියේ ඉන්න මිනිස්සු අපිට වැඩි ගොඩක් දේවල් දන්නවා. අපි ඒක අපි තේරුම් ගන්න ඕනේ. ඉතින් එඩිටර්ස්ලා ජර්නලිස්ට්ලා එක විදිහට මොකද තේරුම් ගන්න ඕනේ. මට පුළුවන් එඩිටර්ස්ලාට කියන්නේ එහෙම කරන්න එපා. ජූනියර්ස්ලාට ඉඩ දෙන්න ඉස්සරහට එන්න. ඒක සමාජයට හොඳයි. ඒක ප්‍රොෆෙෂන් එකට හොඳයි. ඒක රටට හොඳයි. it creates a very healthy environment. ඉතින් ඒ වගේ දේවල් කරන්න එපා. මම එඩිටර්ස්ලාට අපීල් කරන්න පුළුවන්. ඉතින් ඊට ටික ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ අතේ තියෙන්නේ. අර යං ජර්නලිස්ට්ලාට මම කියන්නේ ජර්නලිස්ට් කෙනෙක් වෙන්න ඕන. ඒක තමයි අල්ටිමේට් ටාගට් එක නම් don't give up hope. don't give up hope ඉස්සරහට යන්න. කවදාරි සත්‍ය ජය ගන්නවා.
හරි.
ඉතින් ඒ determination එක තියෙන්න ඕනේ. ඒ අදිෂ්ඨානිය තියෙන්න ඕනේ. So it's about the individual. මම දන්නවා not many can be firm and there'll be a lot of people who will drop by who will be discouraged, but I can tell them don't feel discouraged. If journalism is your ultimate goal and target, don't worry, just keep going.
මතන මේකේ තව පැත්තකට ගිහිල්ලා තියෙනවා මේ විශ්මී මොකද මේක වාණිජ පැත්තෙන් බලන්න වෙලා තියෙනවා. ඉතින් ආදර්ශමත් විදියට ගියේ නැත්නම් ඕන විදියට වාණිජ පැත්තට යනවා කියලා ඒගොල්ලෝ විවේචනය කරන්න බෑ. ඒ වාණිජ පැත්තට ගිහලා ඒ අනුග්‍රහයක් ලබා ගන්න බලනවා. හරිද? අනුග්‍රහයක් ලබා ගන්නකොට ඒ කට්ටිය කවුරු වුණත් අපිට ඒගොල්ලෝ විවේචනය කරන්න බැරි වෙනවා. හරිද? ඒතකොට අපි දැනගන්න ඕන හරි. අපි එහෙනම් කොහොමද මේක හරියටම ආදර්ශ විදියට ගෙනියන්නේ? සමහර වෙලාවට යම් කිසි අනුග්‍රහයක් ආවොත් එහෙම එක පැත්තකින් ඒක අපිට අපි කියමුකෝ මත් වතුර කියලා. මත් වතුර දැන් කියනවානේ බෑ කියලා වෙන එක දැන් දෙනවා කියලා කිව්වොත් අපි කියනවා නෑ මම අනාගත පරපුර ගැන බලලා මම ඒ පැත්තට යන්නේ නැහැ. මම එතනින් වාණිජ්‍ය මට ලක්ෂ කෝටි මේ මම දන්නේ කීයද කියලා ඒත් දුන්නත් මම ගන්නදී විදියට මම ආදර්ශ වෙන්න ඕනේ. එතකොට තමයි දෙවෙනියා බලන්නේ, තුන්වෙනියා බලන්නේ, හතරවෙනියා පල්ලෙහා බල ඉන්නේ. ඉතින් ඒක අපි හරියට සකස් කරගන්න ඕනේ. දැන් අපි හැම එකටම මෙහෙම ගන්න ගිහිල්ලා අපි අර මේ දෙන පණිවිඩය හොඳ නැත්තම් දෙවෙනි එක්කෙනාට ඉතින් ඕක කරගන්න හම්බ වෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඉතින් ඍජුව ඉන්න ඕනේ. ඒකයි මම දකින්නේ.
ගොඩක් මම දකින්න විදිහට ඒ නිසා තමයි අර ඔබතුමා කිව්ව ආකාරයට මේ ජනමාධ්‍ය වෙතින් දේශපාලනීකරණය වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. එතන ලොකු පොයින්ට්
ඒක ලොකු ලඩක් මේ සමාජයේ ඇත්තට ඒක ජර්නලිසම් කොහොමවත් වෙන්න බෑ.
ඒක වෙන්න බෑ. නිදහස් ස්වාධීන රටට වගකිය යුතු වගවිය යුතු කෙනෙක් ජනමාධ්‍යවේදියා. හැබැයි නොවෙන්නේ මේ කාර්යයක ඇතුලේ.
ඇත්තට ඒක ජර්නලිස්ට්ලම තමයි වක් කියන්න ඕනේ. ඒකට එඩිටර්ස්ලා පබ්ලිෂර්ස්ලා අපි කරන දේ තමයි මොකක් කරේ ජර්නලිස්ට් කෙනෙකුට වුණොත් ජර්නලිස්ට් කෙනෙකුට පාර දීලා එන්න ජර්නලිස්ට් කෙනෙක් යාගේ රස්සාවෙන් අයින් කරොත් අපි මොකද කරන්නේ? අපි කොටුව රේල්වේ ස්ටේෂන් එකට ගිහිල්ලා බෝඩ් එකක් අල්ලගෙන කියන නිදාස් මාධ්‍යයට චර්ජන හරවමු. නමුත් මගෙන් ඇහුවොත් නම් මම කියන්නේ නිදාස් මාධ්‍යයට චර්ජන තියෙන ඇතුලේ එළිය නෙමෙයි. ඇතුලේ
අනිවාර්යෙන් එළිය නෙමෙයි ඇතුලේ තියෙන්නේ.
ඉතින් අනිත් එක මාධ්‍ය වේදින් අපි එකමුතු නෑ. ඒක අනිත් එකක්. අපි එකමුතු නෑ. අපිට තියෙන එක vested interests.
ඔව්.
ඒක හරි ලැජ්ජයි. It's a shame that journalism has to be exploited for this reason.
හැබැයි එකක් තියෙන්නේ දැන් ඔබතුමා වගේ දැන් මම දන්නවා ඔබතුමා අස්වෙච්ච හේතුව. ඉතින් ඔබතුමාට තිබුණා යම්කිසි ඍජු භාවයක්. හරිද? විවෘත විනිවිද භාවයක් තිබුණා. ඔබතුමා කිව්වා නෑ මම මේක පිළිගන්නේ නෑ. මට ඒක කරන්න බෑ හෘද සාක්ෂියත් එක්ක. මම යන්න. එච්චරයි. හැබැයි ඒ සභාපති කෙනෙක් ඇවිල්ලා එයා කියනවා නම් ඔබතුමාට ඒක කරන්න කියලා සමහර කට්ටිය කියයි මම කරන්න
ගොඩක් අය ඉන්නවා ඒක
මම කරන්න කියයි. හරිද? ඒ කියන්නේ එයාගේ හිත දිනා ගන්න එක පැත්තකින් කියන්නේ මාසිකව මුදල් උපයා ගන්න මොකක් හරි
විකටම රැකියාවේ
රැඳෙන්න ඒ වගේ දේවල්. හැබැයි සත්‍ය මෙතුමා කිව්වා සත්‍ය ජය ගන්නවා කියලා. අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම කොයි වෙලාවෙ හරි සත්‍ය ඔබ ජය ගන්නවා. ඉතින් ඒක අපි අනිත් එක දැන් මෙතුමාත් කිව්වා ඇත්තටම මේ එක අයට කියන්නේ බලපාන විදියට හුඟක් පීඩනයක් දෙනවා කියලා. නමුත් ඒ වුණාට අපි බලන්න ඕනේ උඩම එක්කෙනා. ඒ කියන්නේ මම ජනාධිපති වුණත් මම ජනාධිපතිගේ ඒ වාතාවරණයේ ඉඳලා මමත් දෙන්න ඕනේ එක දේශපාලන සිතකින් හිතන්න බෑ.
ඔව් කිසිම
වෙලාවක
පක්ෂග්‍රාහී.
ඒ කියන්නේ කවුරුණත් විදුහල්පති කෙනෙක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්, ජනාධිපති කෙනෙක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්, ඇමති කෙනෙක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. මම හිතන්න ඕනේ රට ගැන. මම ස්වාධීන මම හිතන්න ඕනේ රට ගැන. මම හිතන්න ඕනේ මම කොහොමද මෙතන ඉන්නේ කියලා.
ඔව්.
අන්න එතන වැඩේ තියෙන්නේ.
මට මොනවද
ලැබෙන්නේ? මම මේකෙන් කොහොමද ප්‍රයෝජනයක් ගන්න? එහෙම නෙවෙයි. මම රට ගැන බලලා රටට අභිවෘද්ධියක් ගැන තීරණයක් ගන්න ඕනේ. එතකොට තමයි ආදර්ශ.
අනිවාර්යයෙන්.
හරි.
Thank you very much. I think it's a very interesting conversation, and now we have Natali who would like to ask a question.
Now these girls are very young, so they are seeing what is happening around them. But they also don't want to be like that. They want to be good people because they also represent the foundation of goodness. But the thing is, now after listening to you, now she has carefully studied and thought what to ask. Now she is going to ask you a question.
Sir, your advices were very amazing for me. And my first question is, what are the challenges you faced on your career?
Thank you for being here, Natali. Thank you for the question. Yeah, I faced a lot of challenges, I've been in the media for 37 years without a break. And I faced numerous challenges. But I stood firm in the name of journalism. Like I said, I did not have vested interests. I did not have a hidden agenda. I did not practice hypocrisy. It was not about myself. It was about journalism. It was about the truth. And it was about the people out there to whom we cater to, who buy the paper, who read the paper, who want to be informed. Because today there will be people who will say, if you don't read newspapers, you're not informed. If you read newspapers, you're misinformed. So where does the fault lie? Yes. The fault lies with journalists, Are they doing their job well? So journalists face a lot of challenges. Even death threats. Journalism is today classified as the most dangerous job in the world, right? Because you got to brave a lot of factors to get at the truth. You can lose your life. That is journalism, right? It has even spread into sport, because sport was, like I said at the start, it was about who won the match. But today it's about life. It's about businesses. So much at stake. So even sports can pose dangers to a sports journalist. And I have gone through all those, fearful situations, and I feel that, I have done my part, and I didn't compromise on the ethics of journalism, the decency of journalism. For me, money was not everything. If I can say it in Sinhalese, mata loku wune satya salli නෙමෙයි satya.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I also heard that people will understand that people can't eat money when the all trees dead, all fish dead, all the nature. When the nature dead, dead, the people will understood that they can't eat money.
Yeah,
So-
yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yes, definitely. You said it in a nutshell, yes.
Very nice.
I think it's a word by Seattle.
Really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also, just to round it up, and I think, like, for example, we have this good news segment, and, it eventually gets uploaded into YouTube. And maybe, we might not have, any hits as such. But there are other YouTubes that can actually have 10 million or, 15 million on different areas of interest. But I think what we are doing is we are leaving a legacy behind so that people can do research. The youngsters can do, let's see, one day somebody goes into this particular program and researchers, and he gets a lot of information about how to become a good journalist, how to have good ethics, how to not compromise integrity. So that will inspire. So even if one or two gets onto the right track, I think we have performed well. So the peace begins when you don't expect anything in return. So let it be. We put out to the universe, and let the universe, hold it. Someone else who is good enough to accept it and take that path. So that's the way we should actually go. Okay, so
And if I may add, Natali, if your target is to, end up as a journalist,
No.
I believe that's your target, to end up as a
I have lots
broadcaster.
of targets. Being an archaeologist,
Archaeologist.
being a software engineer, and another thing is being a compier.
Yeah. Yes.
But in all those, like what Uncle Callister said, you have to be ethically unwavering, unshakable. That's what it is.
You know something, Natali? The longest walk begins with one small step.
Yes, I heard.
So try to follow that simple philosophy. Whatever you decide to do, just be determined. Don't give up. Don't lose hope. You got so many people around you who can guide you.
And I always tell her about, I'm going to repeat it again. We discussed this over and over again. The 10 most powerful 2-letter words.
Yes.
10 most powerful 2-letter words. If it is to be, it is up to me. Right? If it is to be, it is up to me. That's what he's saying. Right? You have to take charge of your own life. The book, your book, only you have to read.
Yes.
Not other books first. You have to read your own book. So I think we've done a lot of, discussion on this. It was great. And Jumana, have you got one more question? No? She can ask. Right. Okay.
Feel free to ask questions. Never be ashamed to ask questions.
Yeah. Okay.
So thank you Natali, and thank you Vishmi, and thank you Kushil, and thank you to our veteran journalist. I think that was a very different kind of conversation.
And thank you, Sashikla.
You're welcome. And I think I personally enjoyed and learned quite a lot from that. So thank you for shedding light. And like Kushil said, I think the bigger task would be if he can speak to some of the other students and really shed some light on careers in journalism mechanism, what it takes, the challenges, and the overall, so people are aware. So thank you very much. And now we actually have the privilege of having not one but two guests at the studio today. So I will let Kushal do the honors. He already did introduce, but maybe Kushal can start and we shall continue from there.
I mean, Nanda is no stranger to the Foundation of Goodness. He's been here so many times. He's also contributed, towards mankind through the Foundation of Goodness in numerous ways. He's been a good friend. He's got a lot of knowledge, international exposure, as I said, on finance, on, wellness, jewelry, and, many things, life experiences, and cricket as well. So, he comes here with Siddharth for sure on an annual pilgrimage, but beyond that, he's also coming here time and again, and I think even you met him for the first time today. But he's contributed today. I think he had a session with the Good Care of Elders, trying to inspire and motivate them how to lead, life, in their twilight years, So I think he's here. So let's have a chat with him. And Nanda, this is Good News Radio. It's up to you. I don't know what question to ask, but
no, so since he told me today that he has seen the foundation before it became what it is today. So I would like to ask about that. What did you see before, and how have you seen the foundation throughout the years?
Yeah, thanks, Sashikala. Thank you, Sashikala. Right. Before I get there, I got your question. I want to appreciate a few things and how glad I am to be here always. When you come here, we go back a better person for the visit. So it's like investing time. And what I know from Mr. Gunasekara is that he always believed in one thing very clearly: adding value to people's lives. That's, I would say, has been his theme throughout, which I still see. So it's very refreshing for me to see it continues, and every young person, so glad to see young Natalie here and Jumana and all of you. The encouragement is that. So give me a few minutes. I want to say a couple of things. Appreciate Vishmi, you did a fantastic job. So a lot of capability we see and the talent that got nurtured here, inbound, not from. It's very easy to bring good people from outside and plant, but to nurture them, very, very interesting. And I'm so happy that you are here. And this is the option. She has about 5 options. That's wonderful. She had about 5 options what to choose from. That's very clever. So that's a good thing. What if you can learn from this gentleman here is, here's Callisto, his values, his principles was not for sale. This is what I saw on and on. I heard him say what he believed in was no compromise on that, and it was not for sale. And of course, we don't have to say too much about Mr. Gunasekara. You know nothing.
No, I thought I'm Kushal.
So the question is that very important to understand. You can't eat money. Yeah, you said that. You said it. I'm very happy to hear that. So we have to understand about. I know a little bit about finance. So money is only for what money can get you. So if you find ways to get what you want, money is not necessary. See, good values can't buy for money. You have to cultivate it. Respect, you can't get for money. So money is only what it can give you, needs or comforts. But I think the world going forward, we are already looking at cryptocurrencies. So if you find ways to have what you want, to give those needs and comforts, then don't worry so much about money. Look at what your capabilities are and your passion. This is what I heard from Callis. This I know from Kushal. They are never tired doing their work because they found out what's their passion, what they're good at. I mean, I know Kushal personally. I've been on holiday with him. After breakfast, he'll be working. He's on the computer. On holiday, he's on holiday. Yeah, it's true. After lunch again. I mean, after that I told I'm not coming on holiday. No, it's true.
No one wants to come on holiday with me.
Yeah, because they identified a passion. And then, if you find out your passion, what you're good at, you'll never get tired. You become very good at it. And then, you'll make more than enough of money or the things you want to get. They'll be offered to you. They'll be offered to you. They'll want, somebody will say, do you want to be Barbie brand ambassador? You can have all the Barbie dolls in the world. Something like that. So, that's what I wanted to say, because definitely what you saw with Callister, qualities, a gentleman, which is very difficult to find today, very straightforward would be, well, no, my profession is not for anybody's pleasing, I need to tell the truth. And the truth is sometimes a bitter pill. But he wasn't afraid of giving that, dishing out, not sugar-coated, but straight out. Yeah. So, I think the respect is that, no, my principles are not for sale. The second thing I saw, it's very important, that he took pride in his job. So when you take pride in your job, you get something called a job satisfaction. That's worth a lot more than money. If you have job satisfaction, I think this is what the young people should look for. And then you're really going to get good at it because you get appreciated. Again, Callister said, I didn't want the awards, but I knew my readers were appreciating. And he respected what the readers knew. And only if he could give information that added value to that, he would write. Not just because somebody told or something like that. And again, with Kushal we know, I mean, he will be forthright, say whatever that he believes in. This is what I think is the success. And that's why every time we come here, we go back feeling better for having been here. That we also contributed to goodness in many ways, but again, as a friend, he always says, just being good is not good enough for him. He wants you to be better than yesterday. Things like that is what he told us. Bring out the best version of yourself. That's what he always tells. So from what I saw from those days, this was a leisure house. We came here for holiday those days. But even then, he's a person who said we must set a good example. And he had some principles that he followed then up to now. So, leadership, that's what I would look at somebody like Kushal. Setting an example, it's not about what we tell. It's about what we do, people see and can learn. People can tell anything. If you don't see that happening, then the leadership gets questioned. So, leadership is also what, again, we saw today, is with a vision and the energy to follow that vision. Because Mr. Kushal Gunasekar himself said that when he first saw the ground, it was gravel. And that was some 7-8 years ago. Today we saw a team who won 16 consecutive outright wins from a gravel ground, which was because somebody had the vision. And then in the message Kushal said also, if you learn English very well, so you can address the international media, your audience is worldwide then. So I would not even say because you're young, how old are you? 13. I would suggest you not only English, one other international language too. One other. So then your audience is much wider, and then all the things you want to do, you can achieve, and there'll be more people, listening who you can add value to. So from that time to now, what I see is, of course, from a leisure house, now it has become a center for excellence and adding value to rural life And this for me would be the best thing if the so-called leaders can look at, make it a model, I think. Here is an example, fine example of how you can add value, how you can make the rural life better. That's what we've seen, that's what we've been a part of. From having brought a reigning Miss World, Aishwarya Rai, to Sri Lanka, he was involved with Rotary then. We sponsored it, yes. That's how I got to know him really closely. The unwavering ability to follow your dream and stand by your principles. They both talked about discipline. You can't, without principles, discipline doesn't stay. So, this is the journey I've seen here, more than 25 years I know, and what I see and can be proud of. It's the only reason I come here, I think.
That's great. Actually, thanks, Nanda, and very well spoken. A good insight coming along for especially youngsters to understand. And I think you made a very good point that money is not everything. Money is required, but money is not everything. Money can't buy sleep, right? There are so many people who are very, very rich and still can't get good sleep. So you can't, however much money you have, like you said, you can't eat money, you can't buy sleep. And, you also have to, you can't pay money and earn respect. Even compassion. Money can't buy compassion. So things like that, are so important for you to cultivate. And I think you're right, because if people think money is everything, then you compromise with your values. And, so you do, as youngsters, you have to learn to care and share from day one. When you understand other people have less than you have, you might have few shirts, few trousers, few pairs of shoes or whatever, books, toys, just share it with the others. So you don't really have, at a young age, you don't really need money to do those things. I know so many affluent, kids in Colombo whose wardrobes are so amazingly, packed with new clothing and whatever. Sometimes clothes that have not been worn, probably for a year. And I said, take one. Have you got 10 friends? Take one each. Then you have 10. You go and give it to an orphanage, to those who are destitute. They'll love it. I know kids who have only one school uniform to wear for all 5 days. Right? Just imagine. So we have so many. We are blessed. Right? We are privileged. But if you're not content with what we have, money also cannot buy contentment, because money makes money. And then the greed makes greed further. Then you keep going, right? So you have to learn how to first be content as well, how much money you have. Because money is like a mirage. You keep going, you see the mirage is shifted, the goalpost is shifted, then you keep going. And then, there's no end to it, the craving, So I think very valid point, because I think especially the youngsters must not be driven only with money. Money will come, but don't chase after money. That's what I want to say. And I think Jumana also has been waiting to ask a question. Now, you have to keep the mic close to you, very soft spoken, very gentle, and I know. So, what's your question, Jumana?
Yeah, so my first question is, so you've been in the Foundation of Goodness before, right? So, what's your opinion?
Can you speak louder a bit?
Okay, so you've been in the Foundation of Goodness before, right? My question is, what's your opinion about it?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for a very smart question too. So, Foundation of Goodness, as it says, is what you see is adding value to people's lives. Now, here in our culture in Sri Lanka, there is a big division between the urban life and the rural life. So the rural life that I have seen develop, today we saw people developed by the Foundation of Goodness, 11-year-olds who won the championship at swimming in a rural village. Nobody would have even dreamt about it 15 or 20 years ago. And we saw schools from the rural areas winning the Sri Lankan championship and putting other better known schools lower. 16 consecutive wins in any sport must be. So this is the joy I see, and what I see it's happening here. And then from all ages, you all are here. Here's a 13-year-old, and I was talking to some 60-year-olds earlier on. So throughout, and everything from health to wellness to a future for them. But most important thing is the encouragement is not just to make things or become rich, but become a better person. Build good qualities within yourself.
And also adding a little bit, educate them not to be rich, but to value things in life. So then they know, at a later date, how important, that life journey is.
Yeah, so my next question is, so what was your life like before you met the Foundation of Goodness?
Oh, much better. No, I really had a good life.
He got poorer.
So I had a good life, but I would say little confused in my principles and values. So what I thought of was a good life or joy or enjoyment was a little compromised in real good values. So from the foundation and from we have a thing in our religion says, develop a wise association. A friend should be a wise person, so you will become better for it, and this, I feel like it has definitely made me a better person. And did we answer your question? Is that you're asking what it has done?
Yes, that's
okay. I want to tell both of you, because you'll hear a little story, hopefully you'll remember this. When a man was walking down a jungle, he saw a snail, a little snail, at the bottom of a tall tree. And when they asked, what are you doing? He said, so I'm climbing to the top of the tree, a snail. So he was thinking, what are you doing? You're this much and you go so slow, and this tree is 20 meters tall. He says, are you sure? He says, yeah, 100% sure. Wow. How long will it take? He says, I'm not worried about how long, but I know one thing, this tree didn't grow in one day to be 20 meters. It also started
very nice
at my level, and it grew up. So I'm going to get up there one day.
That's a good lesson for you, Joanna and Natalie, because you're young, and every good step that you take forward, is going to take you to heights that you would probably never imagine if you are traveling in the same direction. So
I think you will have to ask your question from Sashikala, because she comes 2.5 hours every Saturday. You should ask her, what brings you here to all this way, and what inspires you to come here?
All right, so thank you to our two little new compeers as well as our two esteemed guests. Thank you very much for joining us today. But more importantly, thank you for joining the Foundation of Goodness and for contributing in the many ways that you have. It's been a remarkable conversation. Thank you very much. And over to Kushal.
Well, I want to thank both Nanda and Callistus for being here. I mean, Nanda has periodically come here, and I also, meet with him whenever I can. I mean, I'm the busy one, so I just, sometimes very difficult to find the time. But I wanted Callistus to come. I love this. I mean, I wanted to actually honor him and respect him, and give him that kind of break. Now that he's not really rushed for time, to come and see what we do at grassroots level, how we make an impact, how we change lives, how we impact lives, how we basically guide and mentor youngsters to become, top Sri Lankans going forward. So I'm just saying that I'm very grateful for your acceptance of my invitation, coming here does inspire me to do more good. Same way with Nanda and Siddharth, they come often. They've been benefactors of the Foundation of Goodness, and we've grown up from very, very young days together. Siddharth has been interviewed last time, but he's aging gracefully, so he's gone for a nap. He's having a good time anyway. So I don't have that kind of luxury. I don't have the luxury. So, but talking about Siddharth, he and I have grown up from as far as I can remember, we are both very second cousins, and we've been growing up together, playing cricket for the same school. I've shared with his room for 5 years with him, and at Park Road, because we didn't have a house in Colombo, and then I lived with him. So, and he's also the first to give me a donation to build my first ever village heartbeat empowerment center at the back of the Foundation of Goodness, where the preschool is now. So it's been a blissful journey every day, as you know, when you come here, unexpectedly, unannounced. So many people visit the Foundation of Goodness. So, Saturday is a very difficult day, and the only time we get is to go and refresh ourselves or revitalize or rejuvenate in the ocean. That's how I keep going because of the sea. And we are when on a Saturday, I can't get out. We are, having sat with the team, it's very difficult to get out from our meetings because we are covering about 25 different areas. But I was told today you have to be ready by 5:30 to get to the ocean. So I'm pretty satisfied with that. I'm pretty keen to do that myself. So I'm just hoping that will be the outcome for the rest of the day. And then they're staying over, so we have lots of chats about various aspects of life, and so that's also good in a way. Once in a while you break that momentum to interact with those who have been with you for donkey's years, as they say. So but I want to thank them. I'm really grateful for their time. I know, like he said, we love what we do because of our passion. Anyone can copy your work, your style, your fashion, whatever, but they cannot copy your passion. Passion is something that comes within. So we don't even feel the tiredness, of our journey, because we found our passion. So, and then with passion goes compassion. So, I think we're very fortunate to live this lifestyle, and be content and do what we can do for, without waiting for others or the country to change. We have gone ahead and made that change. We did what we can, through sheer goodness, compassion, kindness, caring and sharing. So, I'm so pleased that so many of my friends, the network, worldwide exposure, everyone who's joined us, including you, Sashakala, I always remind every Saturday, you come here as a volunteer, and for a girl of your age to do that, coming by train, coming with your parents, coming with your in-laws, is absolutely remarkable. Giving of your time. How many Saturdays have you come here from Colombo, right? And that means you cannot take back that time. Even money, you can take it back at some point in time. You win, you make money, you lose money, you can get money, so many things. But you have given your time for 2 years, almost every Saturday. So which means you cannot actually relive that time. But you can rejoice in advancing years when you look back and say, look, you can tell your children one day, when I was this age, I used to go travel by train. I used to, even your parents are very proud of you, although you may not know, because even at this stage and after being married, they still don't want you to go alone. So, but you can also rejoice in advancing years that you have done so well for the good of others and enrich humanity and for the betterment of mankind. So, we salute you as well. Vishmi is an up and coming superstar. She can articulate and compare in Sinhala like no other I have ever seen. So we invested in her when she was very young, and we didn't love her to go. Now we have this up and coming, lots of youngsters, including Natali, Jumana, so many others, Osanda, so many other, and I'm sure they in time to come, we don't live forever, right? We don't even, the day we are born is the day we get the death sentence, I always say. So today, we live today like our last day. So, and do the best you can. Today is, you live in the present today. We don't know about the future, and the past is gone. So therefore, we are very grateful for the day. And again, Nanda and Callistus, thank you for being here. Thank you for giving words of wisdom, giving your insight, giving the experiences you actually cherish, and share it with so many who actually might one day download. Somebody may be going through a time of difficulty, and maybe they will turn into good news and say, let's look at the Foundation of Goodness, good news. And then they listen, and then they might get a sense of belonging. What they lacked at that time might come to them and awaken them. So who knows? And then this is all we can do. And thank you again for being here. And I looks like you wanted the mic for a reason.
Yeah, I just want to thank you, Kushal. If not for you, I wonder what would happen to all these kids who have benefited from your Foundation of Goodness. You are indeed a man of God. There's no doubt about it. And Shashikala and Vishmi, keep raising the bar. I think you two are in the right job. So I know in whatever you decide to do, you will succeed. And you, Joanna, getting better never stops. Always persevere with your dreams. Thank
Little
you.
English star.
What I would say to Natalia, all the young people listening, is don't look at the price of things, look at the value of things. I think people are too kind of preoccupied with prices. This is confusing everybody. But if you know a value of a thing, it's far better than just knowing price. And I think it will be better for the world if you respect people who have good value for their good qualities, not for the money or the power they have. We will be heading towards developing a good society.
Thank you. So believe it or not, that we've been speaking for 1 hour and 7 minutes. 1 hour and 7 minutes. We started at 2:15. So time has flown by, and what a interesting and remarkable conversation it has been. So thank you very much again. And now we are just finishing that segment, and we will be back with you for our next segment after this quick song break. And the time right now is 3:23 p.m. You are listening to the Good News Radio.